right, the hard part's over. That wasn't too hard, right? Now for the easy part. We're gonna get the hardware out. There's 4 bolts, 2 1 1/4 and 2 1-inch stainless bolts, and that's what we're gonna use to bolt on the fin. Today we're doing the SE Sport 300, so we're gonna use the outside holes. If you're installing the 200, you're gonna use the inside holes. But for this application with the 300, we're gonna use the outside holes. Okay, the larger bolts, the 1 1/4 bolts, are going to go towards the back here. So just drop those in. And then the smaller 1-inch bolts are going to go on the forward. Make sure they countersink in. You know, drop them, turn them until they drop down in, so it'll fit nice and flush in the outside holes. Okay, the next step is to get the tape pads out and line them up over the holes. And you want to be careful. You know, if you have them turned around, they'll still line up. That's the right way. The wrong way lined up, you're going to be sticking over the edge. So you don't want to be sticking over the edge. So make sure the blue is on the top, that they're lined up and not sticking over the edge. These are super high strength 3M pads with some very, very good sticky on them. But as you're pulling them off, you have to be careful not to end up pulling the sticky with it. So make sure just the paper's coming off. You might have to get a sharp fingernail or something in there, and then go ahead and pull off the cover for it. Super strong, so you want to get it right the first time. And then again, make sure you got them lined up. And just put it right on there. Same thing on both sides. The next step is to get some of the hardware out of the SC300 package. And that's going to be, instead of the hex bolts that we just used, these are going to be Phillips head stainless bolts that we're going to use. Same thing, we've got 2 1 1/4 bolts and 2 1-inch bolts. All right, so when I get those out and ready, we're going to take our blue tape off, and we're going to turn this over, and be careful not to set it down on anything. We're going to put the two shorter ones on one side, whichever side you're going to start first. And the reason for that is, on some applications, this Yamaha is pretty flat cavitation plate, but some applications they're going to have a little bow that needs a little more compression, which is good because it torques it down upon itself. But so put the two shorter ones on one side, the two longer ones on the outer side, and for the bigger hydrofoil and the bigger applications, you end up using the outside hole, but it's whichever one lines up. And we're going to put these white fittings on to protect the edge of the cavitation plates when the bolts go through. So we're going to slide these up, and they'll actually stick to the tape pads, which is good. It'll hold the bolts on, and then that's going to be the protection for the bolt rubbing against the cavitation plate. Just an extra measure of protection there. I'm just slipping them over the end and then sticking them to the tape, and so once they're stuck, you can turn it over and it holds it in. Then from either package, out of the SE Sport 300 or the drill-free clip, go ahead and get out the nuts and the washers. And now what we're going to do is stick it to the top of the cavitation plate. Before you do, two things. You want to make sure you have a nice clean, any salt or dirt that's on there, maybe some rubbing alcohol to get a nice clean surface. And then the other thing that's very important, once you stick it, it's on there, so you want to really line up the holes good and get a good, a good fit, so that you don't have to try to, you don't want it to stick right the first time lined up. So go ahead and line it up. Now you get to see all the high-tech engineering that went into this. now you see what we're talking about. The 1-inch bolts on this side, the threads are not coming through the bottom clip yet because there's going to be some compression involved, which is great because that's one of the 4 methods that holds the clip and the hydrofoil to the cavitation plate. So the threads are not coming out the bottom. You're going to have to just put a little pressure, and there they appear. All right. So then you've got your 4 stainless washers and nuts for each one, and then we left the longer ones on the other side. So now we've raised it up. It's at an angle, and when we get to the other side, we're going to have to compress it down, which is where the longer screws come into play. So just go ahead and get them started. You don't need to tighten them yet. Just get them started, because then we need to go ahead and attach the other side. And you can see this is all designed to really conform all the way from the attachment clip to this part, and just the compression fitting is what really helps. So same thing, you're going to have to go ahead and compress it down just with your hand. It doesn't take a whole lot of pressure, and one at a time, and just get them started, and then we can go and tighten them in an alternating pattern there. Okay, just get them started. Washer and nut, again, all stainless hardware. Okay, as you're torquing these down, you want to keep in mind this is very strong. It's fiberglass reinforced polypropylene, but you have stainless steel hardware that's much stronger. So as you're torquing these down, you want it to be tight and snug. But on a lot of applications, due to the rounded cavitation plate, there is still going to be a gap. So you want to torque it down and get it firm, but don't use a power socket, and you don't want to be out at the end with a lot of leverage. You want to get it nice and firm, but you don't need to torque it unnecessarily. Now we want to go ahead and attach the hydrofoil. You want to use the remaining hardware from the package. The SC300 uses the rubber washers. The 200 does not. So 2 of them are thick. The thick ones go in the aft section, in the back, and the thin ones go forward in the front. And simply set the hydrofoil right on. And again, on torquing these, you want to torque it secure, but not too tight. So then you've got your stainless washers, your stainless nuts. Get them started. Okay, there's 7/16 inch nuts, so you want to get a socket. You're gonna have to do this with a socket set probably, and not a wrench. 7/16 socket, and as you tighten these, remember the recessed part where the hex bolt went in. If you torque down on it, you're going to strip out that hex bolt. So it doesn't need super tight pressure. So instead of getting out to the end of the handle where it'll strip out, if you just hold it at the up close to the socket and tighten it down, we're going to alternate from the front to the back. Okay, then come forward. So you want to continue in an alternating pattern, and as they get screwed, you want to make sure that the bolt is coming through the white nylon, and that's it. The package has complete directions, but hopefully this video will speed your installation, and hope you really enjoy your SE Sport.